Hello, everybody. A pleasure to be here at this panel. Thank you, IDB, for inviting all of us. We have here with us today Agustina, Marisa, Gonzalo, Camilla, and Francisco. We'll have a very informal chat around agtech and the relationship between VCs and founders. So we are very excited to be here. I'll let everyone of us introduce ourselves. So starting with me, because I'm already talking, I am a founder of Esta Investimentos, a VC focused in Brazilian founders. We are agnostic of sectors. And I've been learning a lot about agri-tech with Francisco. So I'm still learning. I'm still on my learning curve. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. And I'll pass to Agustina to introduce herself.
Hello. Thank you, Laura. My name is Agustina Fabio. I'm from Argentina. I'm the CEO of a Chilean-based company called Polinatural. I joined the company half a year ago. It's an amazing experience for me. I come from the corporate world. I work in food corporations for 20 years. And then one day I decided to do a drastic move and joined the founder of the startup I work for. So I'm also learning a lot. I'm so happy to be here with all the people in the panel.
Great. Marisa, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Also very excited to be here. My name is Marisa Cuevas. I'm based in Mexico City. I'm the founder and CEO of Microterra. At Microterra, we develop functional ingredients for the plant-based food industry. And we do this from a plant called Lemna, and we use existing aquaculture infrastructure that allows us to do it in a scalable, affordable, and last but not least, sustainable way. My background is in sustainability. I'm very focused on climate tech. And I have been working in agtech for the past 4 years.
Awesome. Camilla, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laura. I'm super excited also to be joining all of you fellow panelists. I'm Camilla Petinat. I'm a partner at the Yield Lab Latam. I'm actually based in Buenos Aires now. And my background is in biotechnology and molecular biology.
Excellent. Gonzalo?
Thank you, Laura. It's a pleasure to be here with these top investors and entrepreneurs. My name is Gonzalo. I'm founder and managing director at Arpegio. I'm originally from Peru. I'm living in Chile today. I spent most of my life as an entrepreneur in companies in advertising, e-commerce, supply chain finance, and last mile delivery. And the last 3 years, 3 years ago, I decided to switch to the other side and found Arpegio. So I'll be happy to share more about that experience today here.
Chico, you're the last one. Go ahead.
Thank you, Laura. It's a big honor to be here following Gonzalo's words with such fantastic founders and investors and co-investors such as Estela. My name is Francisco. I'm the founder of SP Ventures. We are one of the main agtech VCs in the region. We've been doing this for a little bit over 14 years, backed over 45 companies. And I think the basic purpose of the company and the founders here is to be able to transition the agribusiness value chain into a more sustainable curve and sustainable industry. And it's an honor to be here, and hopefully be having some good discussions.
Excellent. So the idea today is to explore the relationship with VCs and founders. And I'll start with this panel asking the VCs to pitch. But remember, it's not to pitch for a limited partner. No. We have to imagine a scenario today where we have a very liquid market and Agustina and Marisa are oversubscribed. So Gonzalo, Camila, and Francisco will have to convince Agustina and Marisa that they are the best ones to fit their journey from now on. So I'll ask Camila to start. Camila, how would you convince, well, first of all, talk about your fund and And tell us, how would you convince Agustina and Marisa to have you by their side?
Well, this is an unfair game for the rest of my fellow VC players because we have already invested in both companies. So they have already chosen us. But nonetheless, I will do our pitch, and then they can tell us. They can tell me if those were some of the reasons why they picked us, basically. So we are a dedicated agri-food tech VC firm. We invest in extraordinary teams developing tech-based scalable solutions across the Latin American and Caribbean region. We basically have 3 offices, one in Brazil, another one in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and the third one in Rancagua, Chile. One of the 3 pillars and very important aspects that we basically try to develop and offer to our portfolio as something that I think it distinguishes us is the possibility that we can help them scale regionally. We can do that. We can do this because not only we have physical offices in the 3 most important countries where all the innovation is now probably exists, which is Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. But also we are developing a network of ecosystem cities, agtech cities across Latin America. And we are super adamant in trying to connect all Latin America through this agtech city. The second pillar that I think is really important is talent support. We know that talent acquisition and the possibility to access talent is one of the main bottlenecks that most tech companies have scaling. This is something that all of us know globally, but we also know this is something important within the specific agri-food tech vertical. So we support our companies in accessing new talent. And one example of that was actually getting Agustina Fabio to jump into Polinatural. And the third pillar is founder-oriented. I know every VC says they are founder-friendly, but you can go and ask our portfolio companies that we have done real work keeping the founder and the founding team at the center of the decision-making that we do as a VC firm. So I would say that that's the most interesting and distinguished part or differentiator aspects of our firm.
That's awesome. Well, Gonzalo, Chico, you guys have a tough job now because Camilla was already chosen. So, but don't worry, Agustina and Marisa had just announced that they are increasing the size of their round. So we have further space for you, but you'll have to convince them that you are the ones. So, Chico, go ahead. Tell us.
Hi, Marisa, and hi, Agustina. I have absolutely no doubt that we are the best venture partner for the both of you right now, the best partner in your cap table from a financial perspective. So first of all, the reason that we decided to specialize in ag and become a sector-specific VC is exactly so that we could build the best value proposition for our entrepreneurs beyond capital. So what we have done here to be able to have a compelling competitive value proposition is, first of all, we started to bring partners into the company that came from the agri industry with extreme experience in private equity for ag and some of the leading multinationals for ag. The second point is that we brought a lot of investors who are some of the best ag players in the world. So from Syngenta Ventures, BASF, IFC, Mosaic, Yara, and we get all these guys very involved with our portfolio and of our entrepreneurs to become part of our value proposition. We've invested in over 40 companies in the ag space in Brazil, and each one of these companies taught us something, in many cases more than one thing, which we expect to be able to help you surpass your bottlenecks to scale. So with that said, looking at our value proposition of being sector specific, of having built a brand of excellence in the ag tech space, of having partners that come and have a lot of knowledge from the ag space and investors in the sector, besides all the venture experience we've accumulated in the space, in every single step of the way where your business is to scale an ag operation in Brazil, I use your cap table and your term sheets. What I would recommend is that you choose in generalist VC, the other one that would be a sector-specific VC, and perhaps other pain points that can be brought to your operation. And I'm sure that we can fill one of those.
Excellent. Excellent. Tough job for the two ladies. Gonzalo, go ahead.
Yes, it's a hard act to follow after Camilla and Francisco. But so I'll tell you a little bit about Arpegio. We're I guess, the new kids on the block. Arpegio is a new fund. We were a little bit less than 3 years. We invest globally in early stage technology startups that are working in the agri-food industry in Latin America. So we're not only looking at local deal flow, we can look at deals from Israel, from the US, from Europe, as long as they're interested in coming into Latin America or working in Latin America. We also have a very broad way of looking at the industry. So we sometimes invest or we look at companies that don't consider themselves an agri-food tech company, right? One of our latest investments was Marco Financial. It's a trade finance platform based out of Miami, helping exporters from Latin America finance their operations. They're not necessarily exclusive for the industry, but most of their deals are along the lines of agro exports from the region to the US, to Canada, and to other parts of the world. So we have that very broad and flexible scope. We're looking to invest in about 15 to 20 companies, 250K for the first check, which can range from 100 and 600. We always co-invest. We don't lead rounds. We like to be the or one of the region and industry specialized funds on the company's cap table. And the obvious benefit of working with Arpegio, as with Yield Lab and SP Ventures, is that network of strategic contacts in the industry, in the region, and around the world. Especially in our case, with a small fund, more value comes from that side, from the strategic value add, than from the capital itself. We also like to generate these relationships early on and help companies even before investing in them, which gives us a window of transparency to see how it is to work with these companies. We help them connect to industries, we help them evaluate, and then they also see, before accepting our check, the value that we can add to the companies. We try to respond to all incoming emails. So look us up, go through the website, or look us up in LinkedIn, maybe ask for an intro, that always helps. So that's Arpegio.
Awesome. So Camilla, the two of them are now fundraising, and you're the one that should help them to choose the VCs. So what kind of advice do you normally give to your founders, the founders that you invested on this situation? What should they look for in terms of relationship? What kind of advice would you give them if they were to pitch for Chico and Gonzalo?
Well, I would say that, they have to have that feeling of meeting the one, right? Like this sensation of having a connection with the person. At the end of the day, investing in someone is starting to develop a relationship. In our case, we like investing in companies that we have known for many years, almost. Most of our best deals came from working on a relationship with a founding team for the past 2 years. For example, Marisa, I met a year ago when they were doing something completely different. And closing Polynatural took us 1.5 years almost. So we work hand in hand with the founding team on getting to that investment readiness stage in which we feel comfortable to take the risk and, of course, the upside of doing that investment. But definitely it's a trust relationship that you need to work on. And in doing so, you get to know each other. And I mean, one of the aspects that we feel it's super important to connect with the founding team is them being coachable, right? And that doesn't mean that they have to do anything or everything that we say to them, but it has to have, I mean, we have to have that space in which they can hear us. And since we have invested in 15 companies, we have some knowledge to share, right? And I think that's very, very important, at least from our philosophy, that get to know your potential VC, start building that relationship, start building that trust. And in terms of the pitch, I would say for me it's key to understand an opportunity in terms of why now. Why now I have to do investment since I have, I don't know, maybe 15 other going on, right? So try to convey very efficient that message to a specific VC that you want to engage with. I think it's really important.
Awesome. Gonzalo, do you have any hints or tips for them and their journey? How would you help them to choose the VCs? And imagine that you are in a very informal conversation with Agustina and Marisa, and you are trying to understand what are they looking for and trying to help them on these decisions. What kind of information or ideas would you give to them?
I think Camila brings up a good point, and I think there has to be a good match between what you're looking for, and there are some founders that are looking only for money or trying to close their round and just do whatever it takes to get the check in the bank, right? And I think there's more to look at during these meetings. Build that relationship, take the time to do it. So start meeting potential investors way before you actually need the money. Ask for help with very specific things, and be very transparent and be able to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, because many times some of these investors will be able to help with very little effort to close some of the gaps that the entrepreneurs may have a harder time doing from their position. So I think it works well to have that and to show that transparency early on, because it builds trust from the beginning. It's important also to know that there's a process behind the every VC fund, because in the end we're managing somebody else's money, and the process is very different with a VC than when getting an investment from an angel investor, for example. And you should know that there's timings and there's processes, and try to understand that. I think one of the biggest mistakes we see is kind of a pushiness or a sense of urgency from the side of the entrepreneur without understanding exactly how the process is going to look, and that's sometimes just it builds a certain resistance from our side, and it's a mistake that I've probably made as well as an entrepreneur presenting to investors.
Excellent. So while we wait for Francisco to come back, he had a problem on connection. I would ask Camila to tell us a bit of what kind of situation most impressed you during your journey as a VC, and what are the main aspects that makes your life happy as a venture capital? I mean, what fulfills your day of joy?
Oh, that's a super nice question to ask. I mean, I don't know if a day to day I can be like recognizing that overall this brings me joy, right? But like the day to day is very structured. I mean, you need to comply with certain things since you are managing money from third parties. So there's a lot like structure and process that you have to follow. But at the end of the day, I think for me, what fills my cup basically, it's that you have power, right? You're managing wealth. So in that sense, I think we have like an opportunity to actually move the needle, right? and to actually invest in things that could transform the way we live, at least in Latin America, and in this case, in particularly in the agri-food tech, to become or to work or to have a more sustainable and impactful, possible agri-food tech system, right? Or agri-food system. So for me, it has to do with that. I mean, I was an entrepreneur before. I was on Marisa's and Agustina's Fabio's side, and it's hard. I mean, you have to be super relentless, focused. You have to be full of purpose because the road is super, super tricky and difficult. And then I became an investor, and I mean, for me, it turns out to be like this, right? You have this amazing responsibility at the same time that you have the opportunity to move the needle and help extremely cool, purposeful entrepreneurs that wants to do things good in the world, like Marisa and Agustina, to help them through. So, and you can do that in many companies. So I mean, that's what brings me joy at the end of the year, at least.
Excellent. Chico, welcome back. Now that you arrived, tell us what makes your life enjoyable as a VC. What are the aspects of your daily life that makes you happy, and what do you enjoy doing most?
Laura, I think what makes venture capital the most interesting, fun business and career choice in the world is to be able to work with people like Marisa and Agustina all day. Fantastic change makers, dreamers, and as VCs, what we position ourselves is in trying to leverage these people to make their dreams a reality and leave a lasting effect, right? So through capital, financial capital, through intangible capital, access to market, access to talent, access to follow-on capital, we expect to be a lever to be able to increase their ambitions and their capabilities of execution. So I think that's the most gratifying part, is to being able to work with people like Marisa and Agustina and to be able to work to make the world a better place. Now, besides that, I think the fact that it's always a different activity, right? I mean, you're either doing strategic consulting of people like Agustina and Marisa, or we're doing M&A in terms of investing in these companies or selling these companies or raising additional capital. So it's never a dull day, a lot of different activities and working with brilliant, passionate people. I think that's the funnest part of our business.
Right. And you, Gonzalo, on your journey, what did you figure out that enlightens your day?
I agree with Francisco. There's an intellectual stimulation, sparked by these conversations with the founders. It forces you to learn about new technologies, new market, new processes. One of the reasons I went from entrepreneur to investor was that I would be able to be up close and involved in more than one big idea at a time. And I think that's very exciting. And what makes it, I think, more worthwhile is that we're in an industry that's so basic and essential for everybody. A few years back, I was selling dispensable consumer gadgets in an e-commerce store, and it's different waking up every day knowing that you're involved in an industry that impacts the economy, the environment, people's health. That's I think a value added of working in VC within this industry, and for the entrepreneurs, I'm sure it's the same.
Yeah, there was a situation in my life that shaped my journey. That was at the very beginning when I left what I was doing before founding Estela, and I started to talk to my friends. I come from the financial markets, and then I decided to reconnect to some of my friends to tell what I was doing as a VC and so forth. And those guys, they were they totally destroyed me because they were very straight to the point that they didn't see why I was leaving the financial market to go for an industry that didn't exist in Brazil, and with interest rates as high as they were at that time. And that for me was so frustrating. I wanted to disappear from Earth from a while. And And this shaped me, because every time that I see someone presenting an innovation, I put myself on their shoes, and I'm like, no, there is something that I'm not seeing here, as much as those guys didn't see how the VC world would develop. And that's what I wanted to turn out to Agustina and Marisa, and tell us a little bit how you come up with the idea that you have for founding your firms, Macro Terra and Polynatural, and how was the beginning of it? So Agustina, if you could start.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like a weird case, because I did not found the company. I'm not the founder, but I decided to join the project because it made a lot of sense with what I was doing. I was working for a very big company from the Southern Hemisphere that produced and exported fruit, and I was a commercial director for that. And I came across with this opportunity of joining a company that improved the life of the fruit. My company, Polynatural, we produce an organic coating for fruit, which is natural and plant-based, and improves the lives of the fruit, and therefore reduces fruit waste, which is a really serious problem worldwide. So I was in a big company selling fruit and dealing with the waste of the fruit on an everyday basis. And this opportunity came to my hands, and I say, why not? It's my chance to grow a small company, to take the company to a next step, because we're expanding the company internationally. We are landing in the US very soon, and expanding to different countries. And it was related with my experience, but at the same time, it was reducing fruit waste, doing something very good, helping companies in their business. So it made a lot of sense, and it's the first time in my career, which was always related to food, that I have a chance to do something good for the world. Not something only economically that makes sense for the supply chain, but to do something different and to improve an industry as a whole. So it's a very fun world for me, and getting to know many people like Gonzalo, Cami, and Francisco along the way. It was so interesting. And I think one of the main things of being in this world is networking. You get to know amazing people all the time, and sometimes you get to learn from people you couldn't expect it. From a very informal chat, you end up having good ideas, improving your business, or taking your company to the next level. So it's always fun. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to be leading a startup, but it's always definitely a lot of fun.
Excellent. Marisa, I'm keen to learn about your journey as well.
Thank you. I'm actually a second-time entrepreneur. So I had one job in my life, and then I launched my first company. I think it depends a lot on my character. I'm like, we have to do things differently, and then I put together a group of people that believes in that idea, and then we launch it. So with Microterra, it was more. The genesis was more, or it came from the concern of our water crisis. And then to knowing more that the climate tech is so interconnected with the agtech and the food tech, and how by solving one, you have to address all three, right? Or you have to think about a systematic solution that will leverage all three. As Camilla mentioned, we pivoted recently. So what I want to say by that is you will not always have the right solution. But entrepreneurship is not about having the right solution, but being resilient enough to put the pieces back together and come up with another idea that will benefit everyone or be a suitable solution, right? We've been working for a long time in this mission of like stopping agricultural runoff or upcycling it. And what I find most amazing is like right now we are a food tech company. We sell an ingredient for the plant-based food, but actually our mission is to clean water, right? Or to use the nutrients in water. And so how everything is and we work mainly with the ag sector, with fish farmers in rural areas, etc. So this interconnectedness makes also the day-to-day life similarly to what my other colleagues here mentioned, like there is no day like the other, right? And that's super appealing. A lot of ups and downs, but ultimately to be able to work with a team in a mission that you care about, it's amazing. And I think the thing that I like the most about raising capital, because it is hard to fundraise, but the thing that inspires me the most is to be able to really hire so much talent that you are not the smartest person in the room. I think you guys are always saying that as investors, but we want that as CEOs or as founders as well, right? Like the moment that you can pay sufficient payroll to have amazing talent in your team, I think that is the most exciting thing about fundraising.
Oh, that's awesome. What a journey that that both of you have. And congratulations. And tell us how I mean any situation that you remember that were that impressed you, or that aggregates a lot of value, that helped you solve an important issue on your firm, that you still remember from a conversation with a VC, or something that was said that in a meeting, or something that you take from since then. Agustina, you want to start?
Yeah, definitely. And it relates to what you said, what you told us, Laura, when some colleagues destroyed you. That happened to me once with a VC. He requested a meeting. He wanted to, I did like an online event pitching in Mexico, which was very nice. And then he requested the meeting to get to know us and to get to know the company. And I did my presentation to him, and he totally destroyed us. It was really brutal. He was really honest, and he says, "I'm sorry, I'm going to destroy you because this and this and this." And he explained why he would never invest in our company. But at the end of the day, I think it was one of the best meetings I've had, because a couple of the things he mentioned, were really things we needed to improve. So it was such a big learning for us, and we ended up changing one or two very important things as a conclusion of that meeting. Of course, it took us some time and a lot of work to change things internally, but it added value to us. So it was a very, very good meeting. I will remember it for a long time because it added value for our company.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about how you address the message, right?
Yeah, I think that the worst meetings you can have with a VC is when they are very nice and smile a lot and say, "Oh, you have a very nice idea, we'll look at it and we'll contact you soon." So when you don't have a hard question in the meeting, I don't think they're really involved in your idea.
Amazing. And you, Marisa, any kind of situation that was remarkable for you that you take since then?
Yes, I want to echo what Agustina said. Like having honest feedback, it's really helpful for an entrepreneur. So 90% of the feedback comes like, "Yeah, sure, we like it, it's amazing, and bye," right? And you're like, "I cannot do anything with that, but thank you," you know. I think it's also culturally different in different cultures. But I still remember, I think it was Wireframe in the first time that we tried to raise money. And I had this conversation that shook me so badly. And I was like, "But why not?" And he was like, "Biotech, it's too risky, this and that." And I was like, "I know many of your portfolio companies that are biotech and that are going to have a hard time scaling up, right? Like, tell me the truth." And he just made a list of all the reasons why this, even though it could be a successful business, it would never be a VC backable business. And to understand that as a founder, especially when it's the first times that you're raising money, it's like opening the door of possibilities, right? And so I really love that feedback. And in fact, that conversation put us to shake and was what ultimately forced us to pivot or to say like, okay, we're not heading here. And I remember it was, he was mentioning, if your product is a commodity, it will be really hard to scale up and to get VC money, right? So I think like that is the best, the best things that you can get out of these meetings, because as a founder, you have to go through 100 VC funds to close your round, right? So if you are getting smarter in each of these conversations, that really gives you an opportunity to succeed. So I would recommend for everyone, like, it's hard to take feedback, it's hard to give it. But if you have feedback, that is helping the entire ecosystem to grow.
Oh, that's awesome. And let's imagine that situation where you are selecting a VC and they come to you knowing you already wanting to invest, but then you have very little information from each one of the funds that are approaching you or that have proposed a term sheet or something. What kind of questions would you be willing to ask them if you were in this position?
What I learned so far is that it's as we as entrepreneurs appreciate the honest feedback and the tough questions. I think the same has to come from our side. When you are, because as Camilla said, you enter a relationship between the company, the entrepreneur, and the VC you start working with. So when we receive money for them, you start a relationship with them, and it will last a long time. So you have to get to know your partner, because he's going to be a partner for a long time. So I would ask, I really try to ask a lot of questions about how they decide to invest, how do they add value to your company as well, because this is a relationship that goes both ways. So we as a startup need to grow and be successful and take the company to the next level with the money they take from the VCs. But the VCs need to help us do that. So it's important to try to understand which is the value apart from the check that they will add to your company in the process.
Yes. Totally.
Excellent. Marisa, go ahead.
I think I would separate this in two parts, the rational part and more like the gut feeling, right? On the rational part, I think there are 4 important things of choosing a VC. So the first one is their network. You have to look, and most of these things is homework. You don't even have to do it in the call, but you can do this as a research, right? You have to look at their portfolio companies. Are they related to what you're trying to build? Because if yes, they will be able to give you great advice and like follow the journeys or put other companies as examples. So look at their portfolio. The second thing is if choose people that are, or funds that are leaders on the industry. That will bring followers. So many investors lead and many investors follow, right? But if you have the pedigree stamp on your cap table, then others will come and they will make your job easier along the road. So that is a very important thing. Not all funds are the same. Look for the ones that are creating a trend. The third thing would be, and for me, this is very important, like we have a lot of European and American VCs, but they have probably never been to Mexico and certainly not to rural Mexico, which is where we operate. So I need to have VCs on my cap table that know our everyday struggle, that know the reality of what we are living through in our startups, right? And the fourth one is something that was also mentioned, have a balanced cap table. For example, we do agtech and food tech and climate tech. If we only have one lens, we will be dragged or pushed to one side. Whereas a healthy cap table is in balance, right? With people putting many ideas and many arguments on those. And then the second part, which is harder because you don't have so many metrics, but as also Camilla mentioned, it all comes down to the people behind it, right? These people are going to be with you in your journey, in the good moments, cheering you when you close your round, but in the hard times as well. And you will have to be able to tell them the bad news, which in entrepreneurship are a lot. So you have to feel comfortable with that person. And so that's very important. The second one is you have to respect them on an intellectual level. You have to value their opinion, right? Because if they cannot add value on one call, or if you don't feel comfortable, then it's only money. It's not smart money. And then, the third part for me is you have to be aligned on what is it that you want to create, right? It's not only amazing revenue, but it's transforming an industry. It's, I don't know, putting biotech in the field in Latin America, or changing the food industry, right? So if they don't get that part, it will be a constant fight of pushing and pulling, right? So that is the last. If you're in that position where you can pick someone that understands your mission.
Excellent. We have only 5 minutes left, but I wanted to hand over to the VCs and ask if they were, if they saw themselves on the position of where an entrepreneur was trying to make questions in order to see if they wanted or not to have you on their cap table, and how did it go? Did you face yourself on this situation, Chico?
Yeah. So it's I think one of the big KPIs to show how the ecosystem is maturing, right? I think 5-6 years ago, entrepreneurs would just be, hopeful that the deal would come out and that you would invest. Now you start to see the founder diligence done on the GP more and more, and getting on what Marissa and Agustina said. We see founders speaking to other founders, diligencing investors through founder due diligence, right? Which is the most important due diligence that a founder can do, is speaking to fellow founders that have been backed, and then asking from very basic questions on honesty and integrity, all the way to the points Marissa pointed out, which is, did they attract talent? Did they bring new investors to the cap table in follow-on rounds? Did they give you valuable strategic insight? Did they open doors in the market to scale sales, help you with channels? So, I mean, this kind of founder due diligence has been increasing in intensity, and I think it's a big KPI to show how the bargaining power between both sides has gotten more fair, and it should be an entrepreneur's market. That's what we all strive for. As investors, will be most happy when this becomes an entrepreneur's ecosystem, and they put us against the wall and they make us work hard and keep us honest.
Excellent. Gonzalo, Camila, do you have any experience to share on this front? I mean, we have only 2 minutes. If you guys could give us a little bit of your experience on being selected.
I agree. It's a good marker for the ecosystem as a whole, and we are seeing it all the time. And I think it's also a measurement for us, and at least for Arpegio in some cases, that we're talking to the right founders, the ones that have more options, and where we kind of have to sell ourselves just the way that they sell themselves to us.
Excellent. Camila, go ahead.
Yeah, no, totally what Francisco and Gonzalo is saying, nothing to add on that side. What we try to do is when we spot a company early on that we really like the team, we just right away try to engage them with our portfolio. So start preparing those relationships. So our portfolio companies can be super honest and transparent on how we can actually help them or not. Each one would have its own opinion, but start basically fostering those relationships, right? So try to get ahead of the game in that sense.
Excellent. So you're right on time, and a very interesting conversation. I know that I would have other 20 questions for this panel, but unfortunately we won't need to finish. But thank you so much for all of you for being here, and IGB for promoting this nice conversation. It was a pleasure.
Very nice to see you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.